welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, it's Sports Extraordinary, and I have Emmanuel Mike joins us this evening as usual.
Yeah, good evening, Temple, and good evening to our viewers out there.
Ekeze Miracle is also here with us. Good to have you as you join us this evening.
Yeah, good evening, Port Harcourt. Good evening, Nigeria.
All right, we have a lot to talk about this evening, and of course, like I did mention earlier, the central focus of our show will revolve around the Italian Serie A. I mean, something dramatic transpired in the annals of its history yesterday night at San Siro, and all that we'll delve into tonight on the show. Guys, for another record time, our third club in our bounds wins the Italian Serie A. Like we've seen, I mean, different from what we've seen in the last 5 years when we used to see Juventus, taking it over and over and over. What we've seen in the last 2 years in the Bundesliga, where it's just a one-man showdown. What we've seen, usually in the Ligue 1, where it is PSG and maybe League coming up to take over sometime, but then, and what we have seen in recent time in the English Premier League, we are a team rolling on a bounce. But what we saw yesterday, or what we've seen this season, or in the last 3 years in the Italian Serie A, is something dramatic. It's a call for a new era, and it calls for concern. And that's why the concern is more the question that a lot of persons have been asking since yesterday, when the guys from San Siro, because the battle is a derby yesterday that ended the showdown, and one club came out top. Inter Milan, they are the new champions of the Italian Serie A. Miracle, I'll start with you. A lot of person would think that Inter do have the chance to have won this one. Finally, they nicked it yesterday. But then, did you at some point when the league started, did you believe that Inter will win this competition this season, this Scudetto?
No, definitely not. I wouldn't say I gave the Italian boys the chance to win the league this season. Looking at how they performed last season during the course of the title, we had teams like Napoli who ran away with the league even before the league came to an end. So I didn't tip Inter Milan to win the league this season, but definitely the Inter Milan have shown to be a team that always want to show themselves in the title challenge over there in Italy. They are one of those big teams. If you call it the top 3 teams or the top 3 teams in Italy, you always mention the name of Inter Milan alongside the likes of their rivals, AC Milan, and the old ladies over there, Juventus. So I didn't tip them to win the title this season.
Let me come to you, Mike. Were you at any point thinking that Napoli would have defended their title?
For me, I never. Why? Because when the likes of Kim Min-jae left and their coach as well left as well as Spalletti, I know it that definitely they have a big problem in their hand, because it takes a coach that has a winning mentality. It takes a coach that has a character to be able to come in and fill in such a big shoe that was left by Spalletti out there, and that is what we saw. It was very, very difficult. Immediately Spalletti left, when the ovation was high, when he actually led Napoli after 3 years of searching to winning the Scudetto, and he resigned, thereby saying that he's going to take a sabbatical leave. I knew it that is where problem was setting for Napoli, because a new coach coming in, it will take time for him to be able to imprint his footballing philosophy upon the players. It will take such coach a time as well to be able to get closer to the players and be able to understand the strength of each players and know how to deploy them. So for me, immediately Spalletti left, I know that Napoli have a big problem in their hand to solve. And again, not only Spalletti leaving, but one of their key defender in their title-winning race in that last year, which is the Korean Kim Min-jae, led for Bayern Munich. It was very, very evident that Napoli is definitely going to struggle. We saw them bringing in a new coach. He couldn't cope up. They had to sack him, bring another coach, and and all of that. Especially when it became obvious that the new coach that they brought in is not aligning himself with the thought pattern or the playing pattern of their key players, such as Victor Osimhen, which was very, very instrumental into helping Napoli leave the league. And again, Kivicha Kvaratskhelia one of the outstanding players alongside Victor Osimhen were not at their peak because the new coach that came in wasn't able to get the best out of these players. So I knew it that Napoli was definitely going to struggle to defend their title come this season after Spalletti left the scene.
In recent time, we've seen three clubs, different clubs won the league in the last 3 years. This has not happened in a while as compared to what we've seen in different eras. What could have changed the narrative in the Italian Serie A? You're going to see three different clubs winning the Serie A on 3 different years.
Yes, I would definitely give it to the financial input that the Serie A have been putting into the league for the league to become competitive as it has been in the last, let's say 4 to 5 years. Because actually in the last 5 years, we've actually had 4 different teams. With the likes of Juventus, Inter Milan has won it about 2 times in the last 5 years. AC Milan and Napoli as well, winning the league titles. So I feel like the financial input that have been put into the league, especially with the signing of that big signing of Cristiano Ronaldo, moving from Real Madrid to Juventus at that point, it brought a lot of limelight to the Serie A. Also, the TV rights were also focused more on the Serie A after the likes of the Premier League, after the move of Cristiano Ronaldo, which also made the league much more competitive as it used to be. Before the coming of Ronaldo to that league, the likes of Juventus actually won the league about, let's say, 9 straight in a row, with the likes of Allegri doing that for them. Coaches like Allegri and Antonio Conte making that possible for the old ladies. So I feel like the financial input that have been put into the league by other teams other than Juventus, the likes of AC Milan, the likes of Inter Milan, also putting money into the club to spend, that has actually made them to achieve the league titles, which they've not won for a very long while, has also been the reason that the league has been competitive. Also, the likes of Napoli as well. We saw they broke their banks to sign a player, Victor Osimhen, which actually did the needful for them, giving them their first Serie A title in a long while after 33 years. The last player that actually helped them to win that title was actually their legend, Diego Armando Maradona. So the input that they put into the Serie A over the course of the years has been one of the major reasons the Serie A has become competitive.
Did you know, Michael, that almost all the top 10 teams in the Serie A have all won the Serie A title? And this is dramatic, unlike we've seen in other leagues. So when you look at what has happened, because Lazio has won the Serie A, if you look at other teams, and Inter, as well as AC Milan, seems to have an equal share of, chunk of the league that they have won in recent time, even during the World War II in 1945 and all that, when the league was suspended. So in terms of dramatic change, Italian Serie A have really stayed in the annals of time. My challenge is, with all these that we have seen, how is the influence of the money play, the exchange of funds, or the let's call it the new thing in football that has changed the narrative of club, making it difficult for these teams, Bologna, Verona, Lazio, Lazio that are even contending strongly now, to come back again to win the league, just like we've seen in the English Premier League?
I think for me the reason is quite simple. Some of these teams that you mentioned, the likes of Girona, the likes of Lazio, who have also won the league in time past, I think there is one certain factor that also made them to come back into the limelight after a very long while, where Juventus have actually dominated proceedings out there. Because if you take a look at your history book out there, in the last 10 years, a certain Juventus has won the league title about 6 good times in the last 10 years. 6 good times. Before you talk about AC Milan coming in between to bridge the gap, Juventus and Inter Milan as well. So, and again, since the Italian Prime Minister, the former owner of AC Milan, talking about Silvio Berlusconi, of course you should know him very well, late right now. He was such a prominent figure at a time that he attracts revenue for the Italian Serie A leagues. It doesn't matter wherever the company is, but once they hear that the Italian Prime Minister, Silvio Berlusconi, is in the corner approaching you to come and do business with the Italian Serie A, you see them running down there because of the reputation that this man, talking about Silvio Berlusconi, has built for himself. Just because of the name, the brand alone, trigger people to come from different walks of life to also put their money in the Italian Serie A. And if you take a look at them, the Italian Serie A was the cynosure of all football fans, especially when you hear that it is a Milan derby. It is likened to the days of Luis Figo, Ronaldo de Lima in the El Clasico. So this man came in because of the name he's built for himself. He attracted different brands, and that pumped in money in the Italian Serie A. And the smaller teams who has not, the financial muscle to do well, then because of different brands coming in, to put money in the Italian Serie A. You saw some of these teams, average teams in quote, mid-table teams like Girona, Lazio, AS Roma, winning the league. Why? Because they then have the financial strength as well to go to the market and acquire one or two quality players to add to their ranks. And that is why some of these teams were able to challenge the likes of Juventus, to challenge the likes of AC Milan, to challenge the likes of Inter Milan in the league. But then, after the era of Silvio Berlusconi, when he died, we saw some of those sponsorship deals began to pull away. Why? Because they did not see the new president that came in, talking about the Serie A president that came in, as one who has the influence to attract, to pull sponsors out there. So, and that is why at some point, it looked as though the Italian Serie A was mainly meant for Juventus, the old ladies. Why? Because over the years, they've been able to build financial strength for themselves. They can attract any player that they want, and the player comes in just because of, the rich history of Juventus. And when that sponsorship left after Silvio Berlusconi died, some of these smaller teams can no longer compete well with some of the big boys. So it was a one-way horse race for Juventus. They keep winning it back to back for as much as God knows. Like I mentioned, in the last 10 years, they won it 6 straight times. It took the intervention of, maybe some little bit of, injection of some individuals within the league when the league was going down the drain. At some point, you look at the Italian league, it is no longer fancied. Why? Because other leagues such as the EPL, the Bundesliga, even the Spanish La Liga became the envy of the world. So it looks as though the Italian Serie A has gone back to the doldrum, but they try to revitalize the Italian Serie A by making sure they pump in money there. They bring in the fair play, the financial fair play rules, where clubs are checkmated. You cannot spend beyond what you earn. And that gave some of the smaller clubs the leverage as well to be able to make small money and also go to the market and get the player that they think that is good enough for them. And this is why we've seen the likes of, Napoli began to compete favorably well with the likes of Juventus, and that even made them to win the league last time out because they covered a little amount of money to get the services of Victor Osimhen, to get the services of Raspadori, to get the services of Ivica Krastenia, to mention but a few, because of the financial fair play that came in that we used to know of them in the past. So it's simple as that.
Beautiful analysis there, I must say, from you, Mike. And of course, that's the rich history that comes with the Serie A. A lot there. But like you said, something does tickles my mind as we're giving those lovely historic punch, and that is the fact that the Serie A comes with some traditional flair or ritual. For every 10 title that a club wins, you get a coat of arms, a shield placed around your badge, and that is historic. And when you look at the apex of clubs that have won the Serie A, you look at Juventus, the old ladies, like he said, winning it up close to 30 times. That shows how good they have been. And then AC Milan, coming very close, about 20 as compared to Inter Milan, who have won close to about 15 thereabout of the title. And then others have been shared between some of the younger clubs, and a lot. And that tells you how far. Even Juventus at some point were relegated. I'm sure you know that.
Yes.
But they came back strongly, and they show that they are still the team to beat as compared to what we have seen in recent time. And this will continue. My only thinking is, with what we have seen now, it's more like taking it back and giving back to this club. Do you see clubs like what we saw Napoli did coming in between these traditional teams? Because it looks like in the Italian Serie A, the hardcore, the Turin, the guys from Turin, which is the old ladies, the San Siro guys, AC Milan and Inter Milan, and then maybe any other, Lazio, AS Roma. These are traditional teams. So it looks like the trophy cuts across them. Could it be because of the money power, like he said, or the fact that we're going to see dynamics, something will strike the Serie A in years to come, and we're going to see something beautiful, something new, something that happened like in the English Premier League when Leicester City came from nowhere? Because arguably, one would say that it is not the money play that enhanced Leicester City to have won the English Premier League that season, because they never had the best of score as compared to the big teams. So are we going to see something like that? Because that of Napoli was highly easily predicted. When you look at the prolific form of the players he mentioned, you think that, okay, they have the tendency, but these things happen once in a while. It's difficult to break the genes and get the big boys out and get to win. Only the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi could have done that, but we don't get to see these players, in their prime. So are we expecting to see something dramatic or a continuation of the dominance of these big teams?
Yes, definitely. We've seen over the course of some other leagues also. In every 20 to 25 years, we always have to see some, well, let's say, mid-table team that always come to challenge for the title. And in the early 2000s, we had teams like Valencia in the La Liga contending and even winning the La Liga titles. And we've seen Bayer Leverkusen just had a shocker. Last week, winning the Bundesliga title, the first time in their career. Also, Leicester City did it about some seasons ago in England. And we saw Napoli just do it last season after 33 years. And yes, definitely, it can also happen again or repeat itself in the Italian Serie A, especially when we've seen the kind of quality that have been coming into the league by the so-called mid-table teams. If you go to the goal-scoring log in the Italian Serie A over there, it is only in Inter Milan that you will see the likes of Lautaro Martinez that have overshadowed the rest players. But if you look at the other players behind Lautaro Martinez, you will see some mid-table team players, the likes of Bologna players, the likes of Atlanta, the likes of Torino players right there. So we've seen those teams shipping quality to their teams that can actually give them that edge over the so-called big boys in the next 3 to 4 years, and we can also see them competing or to fight for the Italian Serie A title.
Now, Mike, let's come back to Inter Milan, the league winners and the champions, winning in with 5 games to go, and scoring 79 goals in 33 games, conceding just 18 goals, and losing just 1 game so far in the league. That tells you how good a club can be. But beyond this record, beyond the numbers, let's look at their exploit in Europe. This is the same thing that went all the way to the finals of the UEFA Champions League. One would have expected that this season, having gone this far in their stride to winning the league, one would have expected that maybe they also pull the chestnut from fire in the Champions League, maybe a repeat at least in the semi-finals. Will you think that if you compare what they did last season and what they've achieved this season, regardless of the fact that they're not the champions of the Serie A, do you think that there's a drop in the target of the team, or you think that this is just the glorious moment they desire?
Yes, I think for me, it's just a glorious moment that they desire. It's not a drop in form, because Europe entirely is a different ball game compared to the Italian Serie A, where you get to play.
For a team that got to the finals of the UEFA Champions League?
Yes, the Italian Serie A is different in the sense that you get to play some of these teams week in, week out. You get to understand their traditional pattern of play. It could be very, very easy for you to, figure out how a team is set up because you are familiar with such team. But in Europe, each season, different clubs, especially those ones that have made it to the, European elite football club, competition, talking about the Champions League. Every team that makes it through always want to go to the market, get quality players, add to their ranks, and that makes it even more difficult for a team to be very, very positive that you are going to beat even a smaller team that makes it through the Champions League, because you don't know what to expect, because some of those teams have gotten 1 or 2 quality players to add to their rank,
So
and that automatically...
invariably, are you insisting that the part of the challenge that bedeviled their run in the Champions League is lack of quality players?
Definitely.
As compared to the league?
Yes, because I expected, them last season, after getting to the Champions League final against Manchester City. They did great job, but then there was something that was still lacking. You discover that this season alone, their midfield is short of quality, players within the middle of the park that have those incisive passes, that have an eye, to throw in some of those, defense-splitting passes. Ever since Mkhitaryan got injured, I think they find it difficult at some point. They were winning games just courtesy of individual brilliance, maybe from Lautaro Martinez or Thuram coming in to salvage the situation at the nick of time. Then Alexis Sanchez as well, no thanks to injury. Injury have also blighted his contribution to the Inter Milan team so far this season. So immediately they got to the Champions League final against Manchester City last season. I expected Inter Milan to go to the market, deep hand in their pocket, get a quality midfielder, get 1 or 2 strikers to back off for Lautaro Martinez, because Lilian Thuram is not experienced in the Italian Serie A this season. We've seen a couple of chances begging for simple tapping from Lilian Thuram, but he wasted just like Nicolas Jackson. So there's still that experience that is lacking. So I expected Inter Milan to beef up their squad by making sure that they inject 1 or 2 quality players into their rank, because other big teams coming into the Champions League, we know that Inter Milan has the pedigree. They got to the final last season. And any team that comes up against them, even in the preliminary stage, will prepare very well. And that was the greatest undoing of Inter Milan, that they could not go to the market, get 1 or 2 quality players, add to the ranks to beef up, to start from where they stopped last season. And that was their greatest undoing, that they couldn't, replicate that fine form in Europe that we saw last season. But their quality in the league is never in doubt, 100% if you ask me. 33 games played, 27 wins, 5 draw, just 1 losses, 79 goals scored, 18 conceded. They have plus 61 goals. It tells you that indeed they have been able to master this league and the teams in the Italian Serie A. When we had to do with the Champions League, it's a different ball game altogether.
It's a different ball game altogether, and that's the magic. But look at the magic. Can this work in other leagues? Do you think this would have been possible in the English Premier League? Yes. A team not having to get players and competing highly in the local league. Do you think that would have been very possible?
Yes, definitely. We've seen the likes of Liverpool during, even currently now, during the Jurgen Klopp era. It was towards the ending part of his career, as he has announced he'll be leaving, that he started, that the Liverpool board started bringing out the money to spend for him. Like last season, they bidded for the likes of Moises Caicedo for about £100 million. But over the course of Jurgen Klopp's career for Liverpool, he's not really spent so much money on signing of players. But we've seen him perform at highest level, getting to 3 Champions League finals. Also, even at the league, he's won a league for himself, and he's been that team.
Has he won a UEFA Champions League with that period?
Yes, with Liverpool.
Yes, he
did that with Liverpool. Although he lost 2 finals eventually with the same Liverpool team. But we see him contend with Manchester City season after season for the title, eventually winning the title for them in 2020 during the COVID season. And they really not spent that much in the transfer window. So I feel like teams not spending is not a criteria for their success. We've seen teams like Liverpool grind that result even without spending. So I feel like Inter Milan not spending so much.
For me, I beg to differ away from that. I beg to differ. You know why? The English Premier League teams, they cannot do that, and try and say that you want to compete for the title without spending for quality players. You can't do that in the English Premier League, because it is...
And also, as an addendum to what you just brought up now, that season we had prolific attackers in Liverpool. Sadio Mane. We have a certain Firmino,
yes.
The trio. So they are at blistering form. So you expect that, and you cannot have 3 players and then go get other strikers. So for them, maybe the tactics of the coaches, yes, but they had outstanding players, world beaters, in their different rides. So I think that that also be a factor.
that is a very big factor. In the English Premier League, you cannot say that you want to remain status without dipping hand into the pocket to spend for a quality player and you say you want to contend for the league. No, it can't happen. Tottenham, let me use Tottenham as an example. You see, just a single player leaving Tottenham, talking about Harry Kane, it affected them so much. You see, Tottenham under Ange Postecoglou, he came in, he started the league like a house on fire.
True.
They were churning out results. 10 straight wins, and people began to talk of the Tottenham being the title race. But then, when the going get tough, you began to see Tottenham frizzle out gradually. Then now, take a look at the teams that is doing pretty well. Some of the average teams in quote doing pretty well, contending for the league title or even contending for top 4 so far this season. I'll give you an example. Aston Villa. Unai Emery came in. They have to get a Bailey, which is a very good player. Got Mohamed Kudus, one of their star man.
No, Kudus is at West Ham.
West Ham. Bailey. So I think he came in and brought 1 or 2 quality players, and that is why you see them, competing very well, even doing pretty well in Europe. Now, Aston Villa, look at what they are doing. Got the likes of, Paqueta is there, a great player, with the injection of Diaby with, Mohamed Kudus. You saw how Aston Villa is even, dismantling a whole Arsenal, home and away so far this season, pushing for the top 4. What if Aston Villa had not gone to the market? Do you think that without those qualities, will they be competing for the top 4? No, it is impossible. Okay, look at Manchester United. They did 1 or 2 transfers so far this season, but it wasn't a quality players added into the rank, and that is why we've seen Manchester United struggle. They got one striker, Rasmus Højlund, who is not a proven goal scorer, and we've seen him struggle. For Manchester United, it's just of recent that he's trying to rediscover his scoring boot, if at all he has discovered it. If not, I still think that he's still very far away from him right now. The likes of Liverpool. You see Liverpool, I think Liverpool, naturally, they should be competing for the title if they had added 1 or 2 quality players into their rank.
But are they competing?
They are competing, but I think it will be very, very far away from them right now, looking at what Pep Guardiola is doing. Now, Arsenal, look at what happened to Arsenal last season. They knew it that they lack squad depth, and that is why they bottled the league last time out. Now, Arsenal of this season, they got to the market, got in the likes of Jurgen Timber, Kai Havertz, and Declan Rice. You saw Arsenal competing, favorably well with the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool. Now, Manchester City already, they have a formidable teams. But even at that, Pep Guardiola still went in to get Mateo Kovacic. Why? Because he needs the quality. And so for me, in the EPL, you can never compete for the title if you don't go to the market, add 1 or 2 quality players into your rank. It will be very, very difficult. In fact, impossible for you to lay your hands on the league compared to what we saw with Inter Milan, who didn't go to market but they won the league. So it's a different ball game altogether. All
right, so we're still looking at how Inter Milan became the champions of the Italian Serie A, and a championship now that they've won for a 20th time, which is lovely for the team. We'll go on a short break now. When we come back, we are still looking at the Italian Serie A. Don't forget, there's a big game, a big cracker tonight at the Emirates. It's between Arsenal and Chelsea, a London derby. Don't go anywhere. This is Sports Extraordinary on Atlantic Television Network.
It's a goal, it's a goal.
the lines across the ocean, to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring on sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economy, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
Greenwood's went for goal. Goalkeeper missed it. Fight for him, but he tries a right hand, and down goes Paul straight away. Oh, what a point to end it on. So now this is when they're at their best. That's when they're 12 years for this. So drink it in. Still goes to Ireland, New Zealand. What he loves to be immortality as an athlete. 19.79. It's a goal. It's 8 goals.
All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is Atlantic Television Network, Sports Extraordinary. And of course, the guys here in the studio, Mike and Miracle, looking at the miraculous deeds that transpired tonight at the Della Madonnina in the Italian Serie A, where the guys from San Siro, the both side guys anyway, or one of them came top, which is Inter Milan, getting to win that 20th Serie A title. Guys, back on the show, and of course we're still looking at what transpired. Yes, we'll have a game tonight between Arsenal and Chelsea, but we'll talk about that in later on. We're still looking at how Inter Milan, became the champions of Europe this season, became the champions of the Serie A. And that takes me to what you said last, Michael, before we went into, and Miracle, I'll come to you on this now. How possible is it for you to lose players like Marcelo Brozovic, Edin Dzeko? These are players who took you to the finals of the UEFA Champions League. They also sold the likes of Marko Arnautovic.
Romelu Lukaku.
Yes, Romelu Lukaku also left. Milan Skriniar left
for PSG.
Yes, I also saw Andre Onana, the best goalkeeper, one player who was very fantastic, before he left to Manchester United. So ordinarily, and these are big money chunked out from these players because of their deeds. One would have expected that you get to see good names, but rather what we saw from the coach is a not too familiar names, but players that understand the Serie A, and he was able to mend them to what he wants. At the start of the season, do you think that Diego Simeone would have been able to galvanize what worked out for him? Because it's rare to sell these players and still show dominance against clubs like Napoli, who had 70% of the players stayed back. 70 or 80, 90% of the players stayed back because Napoli would have sold a certain Victor Osimhen,
Yes.
but they retained him. So how were they able to compete? What made them this dominant? I know that, we'll come to the formation, but what made them this dominant? Is it as a result of other clubs not showcasing skills in the market, the financial fair play, showcasing that area? Because I'm wondering how you sold top players in your club and you're still able to maintain your resilience. They are owing and they are going to pay a debt in May. That means that they continue to sell players from now till the end of the season for them to be able to balance their books. Yeah. But yet, they won the most coveted trophy in the Italian league this season.
Yes, I want to give credit to the coach over there in Italy, Simeone Inzaghi, the Inter Milan boss. The few players he even signed, like the likes of Benjamin Pavard from Bayern Munich, the likes of Alexis Sanchez, and also the Inter Milan goalkeeper, the Swedes, Jan Sommer, that actually replaced Andre Onana. Yeah, good and quality players. The likes of Pavard has won the Champions League previously and league titles with Bayern Munich, and we've seen him perform well. Pavard is a World Cup winner, scoring one of the most glorious goals, best goals in the World Cup has ever seen. So the few players he brought in, and with his tactical input in the squad, they have perfectly performed. The likes of Pavard and the goalkeeper Jan Sommer has been quite good in the course of this season, keeping a lot of clean sheets for the Italian team over there. We have the likes of Federico Di Marco in defense, also experienced defenders over there. He has young defenders also, the likes of Denzel Dumfries that plays from would I say the inverted wing back, that they now call it the inverted wing back role, that drives into the midfield, also helps the attack when they counter. So I feel like the tactical input of the coach has been a lot, have played a major role in Inter Milan winning this Serie A title. Also, the few quality players he brought have been able to give quality and provide a lot to the team.
Provide a lot to the team. Stefan Zhang is the owner of the club. I mean, the highest bidder, even if they have stakeholders. Mike, and this is a testament to when a manager believes in the coach. I mean, the style of play of Simeone, Inzaghi, has also created some love from neutral fans to him. The style of play, he plays a 3-5-2 formation, you know, where he had a compact midfield, and that has been very resilient to the defensive mindset. And that reminds me of what a certain Nigerian coach also intended to play, you know, in the Nation Cup, which also helped him. But let's talk about the coach. This with this win now, can other clubs learn from the the employer-employee relationship between Simeone Inzaghi and Zhang? Because after selling these players, they know they were owing. Some managers or some owners wouldn't have been patient, but they believed in Inzaghi. They trusted him. And if you look at his press conferences, I don't know how many you've listened to, but there's this respect he pays to his opponent. Even Paoli yesterday, he talked about him in such a light manner, and he has no feeling. He never plays mind game, you know, unlike other coaches would have. But somehow, I mean, his physical attributes as a manager really showed that he knew what he wanted, and then he went for it, and that belief was there. Does this show that managers, are there lessons to be learned from what he's done with the club?
Absolutely, yes. There are many lessons to learn from what Inzaghi, Simeone Inzaghi has done for Inter Milan. First, I took us back to when Silvio Berlusconi was still holding sway at Italian Serie A. Then he attracted a lot of sponsorship deal, and some of these clubs, they were enjoying because a lot of sponsors came in with their brand as well, and that also pumped money into the Italian Serie A. But immediately they signed this coach, they had to sit him down. Talking about the authority, they told him this is the financial status of the club, that if you don't mind, we don't have a lot to spend on big name players. Are you going to work with what we have? We are not saying totally that we are not going to give you money to go to the market, but to go for the creme de la creme of players will not be there. But we believe that if you put faith with us, definitely we see a future in this club. And he said yes, for the love that he has for the club. You can go back to his press conference on the day that he was unveiled at San Siro. So he said that because of the love that he has for this club, that he can do anything. He's ready to tinker this team around and get the best out of it. And
initially, a lot of them felt that he just wanted the job. And they never believed that he has what it takes.
So one thing he did first, in his first training session, he had to call all the players. And the players came to the training session. He told them, guys, there's no training today. Let's just go home and relax. Tomorrow we'll come back from training. Guess what? In the next day, all of them came to the training. He had to sit them down and began to lecture them. He said, today is not a training day. I want to let you know the basics of what the clubs and my intention is all about. The players, they sat for about 45 minutes, according to record, where he was trying to pass his own footballing philosophy into these players. Told them that we need to work like a team. We need to respect my own opinion, and I respect your own opinion. Let's work in synergy. let us work in consonance with what the club has. This is what the club says. That is not to say that you are going to be dampened because you may be afraid that your salaries, your entitlement will not be paid to you. They will be paid to you, but for you to expect a big name players, no. You are the big name that I'm seeing. You are the big name that I want to sign. He had to tell these players that these are the players that are the big name that he want to sign. And when you tell players such, encouraging words, players want to die and give their all in the pitch of play because of the relationship that exists between the players and the coach. And the relationship as well, and they understand there exists between the coach and the authority as well. So he made it very, very easy for Simeon Inzaghi to be able to work with the little, meager of money or the little resources that they have out there, and he went out there to get the results. So I tell you, clubs need to actually learn on how to build a good relationship with the management and the players as well. And that is one thing that makes it different between Jose Mourinho and Pep Guardiola, because these are world-class coaches, but they come, they give you their own stipulation, they give you what they need, that I need so amount of money, I need to go to the market, I need so player. They will tell you. And if you take a look at the clubs that Pep Guardiola have coached, right from his days at La Masia down to when he got the first team job with Barcelona, he had good quality players. He had no need to go to the market. And of course, you know that the La Masia is one of the greatest products. So he can go there and get whatever you want. That quality players, the likes of Xavi Iniesta, the likes of Xavi Hernandez, the likes of Messi, Samuel Eto'o, Puyol, to mention, they were there. He had the assemblage of some of the best, players as at then. He left there to Bayern Munich. He has a very thick squad. There was no need of
getting those players.
Exactly, because what Bayern Munich do is that they intimidate other, smaller clubs in the Bundesliga. If they just see a good player at Dortmund, they will do everything to snap up that player so that they will build that, empire of gallery of great players out there. That is what he does. And that is why they cannot go to an average club and survive, because some of this average club doesn't have what it takes, to give to the coach to be able to get some of these big name players. But then we've seen example from the likes of, the Brighton coach, Roberto De Zerbi. If you take a look at the income of Brighton so far this season, never in their history have they made such amount of money this season alone, courtesy of the sales of their key players. But then Roberto De Zerbi still has the tactical prowess. He still has the tactical finesse to maneuver things and get the best of the players and pass his footballing ideas and philosophy down to the players. And that is why they saw some big name players, Marco Curella, David Sanchez, Caicedo, to mention but a few. And they made a huge amount of money from the sales of these players, yet the club is still doing well. What happened? Is because of the relationship between Roberto De Zerbi, the owner, and the players as well. It makes it very easy, and that is what Inter Milan with Simeon Inzaghi have replicated. I had to sit the players down and told them, boys, I ain't going to go to market and get a big name player. Maybe you are looking for Ronaldo or Messi. No, the money is not there. Kylian Mbappe is not coming. You are the Kylian Mbappe I want to use and win this league. And that made it very easy for them. So for me, I think other clubs as well should learn from this. And if they do, I tell you, they are going to save a whole lot of money and also compete favorably well with other big teams out there.
Compete favorably well with other big teams out there. And of course, look at the assemblage of the players and look at the indigenes, so to say, and then the nationals. And you compare and contrast when a team wins the league. You look at the players like Stefan Devic, you look at Marko Arnautovic, Di Gennaro, these are David Klaassen. You can talk about Dumfries. You talk about Alexis Sanchez, Mkhitaryan, Kanagolu, Barella, Damian, Marcos Thuram. Talk about Lautaro Martinez. I mean, a mixture. Bastoni. Talk about Soma, Acerbi. There's a mixture. That seems to be that mixture. Could that also be the reason why they won, the league? The fact that usually traditional teams from Italian Serie A had more. They have a more bulk of players from the league. But this time around we saw a change, just the way we saw in Napoli last season, could that also have helped the system, or why the philosophy of the coach was easily adopted, unlike the usual Italian team we used to see?
Yes, definitely. We saw players from different parts of the world assembled in this Italian team to make up their full starting 11, including their bench as well. We saw players from all parts of the world, from Europe, from South America in this team. Young players also in this team. And that was a major role. It played a major role and a major factor why these Italian players where this Inter Milan team were able to grind out results and were able to play for the coach.
And unfortunately, there was no African in this squad.
Except Lilian Thuram, who has an African descent.
Yeah.
But he played for the French
side. So,
yes,
so that gives me concern that there's no African. But we're going to talk about that when we come, why African import. I mean, it's been a long time that you get to win a major league and there's no African. It's a real talking point,
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave that for some other day. Let's talk about what to expect. We'll have just 3 minutes. And Arsenal tonight will be battling. I mean, now we've seen two winners from two league winners now. Arsenal are hoping that they can do the magic this time. And the biggest task tonight is just win Chelsea. And I start with you, Mike. Can they win Chelsea tonight?
That's a big it's a big question out there. Arsenal, do they have what it takes to win Chelsea? Of course, yes. Can they win Chelsea? Maybe yes or no. Why? Because Arsenal, they blow hot and cold sometimes. When
At the Rhodesian Church.
Yeah, when you repose hope on them so much, they will just disappoint you, and that is why it is not good for someone who is suffering from any form of mental issue to be fanning a club like Arsenal, because they will give you problem. They will give you heart attacks.
No, that would be too much for Arsenal. I mean,
no, the truth is this. When they get closer, when you think that they are almost there, this is the promised land for them.
Syndrome.
Yes, they will just.
But it takes something dramatic, like you said.
Yeah.
They now have the bulk of players.
Yes.
So are we expecting something new this season?
No. After losing to Aston Villa at home, where they had all the chance to get all 3 points against Aston Villa, to keep piling the pressure against the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool, they bottled it. Is it against Chelsea that is also trying to fight hard to depose Manchester United of 7th position and look if they can be able to get an European ticket after losing the FA Cup to Manchester City and losing the Italian Cup to Liverpool? A Chelsea team that will be fighting or struggling, to make an European spot after their hope were quashed from their defeat against FA Cup. Do you think that Chelsea will just relax and allow Arsenal to get all 3 points against? Now, of course, if you take a look at the first leg, it ended in 2-2 draw. Arsenal had
a 1-1 draw. Yeah.
No.
2-2 draw.
It was a 2-2 draw.
Okay, 2-2
Arsenal
draw.
had to fight from behind to beg for that draw. If not, Chelsea should have won them. I'm looking at Chelsea's history against the big teams this season. When they play against smaller teams, you might defeat them. They just play very lackadaisical. But when they come up against some big teams, against Manchester City this season, in the league, they were able to hold Manchester City 1-1 draw and 4-4 draw, one of the greatest scoreline in the history of Pep Guardiola, according to him. Looking at Chelsea so far this season, they have this penchant of always coming to the party when they meet with the bigger boys. So it's going to be a tough nut to crack for Arsenal, but then I think it's very doable if they put their mind in it.
Miracle?
Personally, for me, I will give it to the Arsenal team because they need to win this match to stand the chance.
Is it about giving it to them to win the match, or the
It's
fact
not
that
about compensation. If the
Yeah.
league is about compensation, we say Arsenal, you guys play good football. Let us just compensate.
Like
and
we
take
saw
the
what
lead.
the guys have done.
Yeah.
Winning with 5 games remaining. Arsenal needs to fight it, or do they have that desire to fight?
Yeah, definitely. Although they've not been quite firing in front of goal of late, but I will give it to them because of the kind of defensive lineup they tend to produce throughout the course of this season. They've been quite good defensively, and we've known Chelsea to have a very, very shaky defense. So if Arsenal can score in the first half of the game and begin to play that